Hello and welcome to the 2016 Women's Little 500 here on broadcast.iu.edu and WIUX. We thank you so much for tuning in to this, the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500. I'm Sam Rumsel along with Kevin Highland for WIUX, and joining us is Pam Lobig, former coach for DG and a rider in the Little 500 as well as the race director. Pam, welcome to the broadcast. And this year, the main storyline going in is the two-time defending champion, Kappa Alpha Theta. Can they three-peat for the first time in the history of the women's race?
Yeah, not only are they the two-time returning champion, they are also coming in with every jersey this year. So they won the spring series and they also took the pole. They put 3 of their riders in the top 10 in ITTs, so they are a deep team. The question will be is, do they have, if it comes down to a sprint at the end, do they have a sprinter that can win it, or are they going to be able to get a gap and break away?
One of the best sprinters in the field, if not the best, Kevin, is Tabitha Sherwood for Phoenix Cycling, a new team as of last year. And if it gets down to lap 100 with a sprint, it's got to be in Tabitha Sherwood's hands, don't you think?
Sam, one word that comes to mind when you think Tabitha Sherwood, it's firepower. She was the winner of individual time trials, the winner of missing out. And after Collins failed to qualify 2 years ago, Tabitha took it upon herself to create a new team, Phoenix Cycling. Like we've talked about, second place finish in their first year last year. They returned some. Tabitha Sherwood, she's sure going to be tough to beat if there is a sprint at the end.
Yeah, and it's interesting with that Phoenix Cycling team because she was actually kicked off the Collins team, and with transfer rules like in college football or basketball where you have to sit out a year if you decide to transfer from team to team, she said, well, I'm not going to sit out a year.
Same thing would happen.
I'm just going to create a new team, and it worked out very well for them last year.
It certainly has worked out well. Second place finish, and they're going to be starting in the front row today. Phoenix certainly one of the more formidable teams in the field.
Definitely, and there's a lot of formidable teams that we'll talk about. Another team, Delta Gamma, that rounds out that outside of the front row. They're an experienced team, and DG definitely has a great chance to win it, don't you think, Pam?
Yeah, absolutely. Delta Gamma is one of our only teams that everyone on the race, or everyone on the team, has ridden in the race before. So they have the experience. They've ridden together. They've trained together. And they also have Chrissy Bignall, who will likely be their sprinter on the end. She got second place in ITTs and then also got second place to Tabitha and missing out, although she did have a bit of a gap on her in the final lap. So look to them to be a challenger today, too.
DG won back-to-back titles in 2012-13 and graduated their whole team after 2013, took a little bit of a step back, but started with fresh girls the following year, and they've got a great chance to win again this year. And Pam, we look back to last year's race. It was shaping up to be a fantastic sprint, but then unfortunately a caution flag marred the end of the race.
Yeah, it was a really unique finish in the women's race last year. So you had a group of about 5 riders going into the final lap, and they were getting into their position, getting all set up, and there was a wreck. And similar to the Indianapolis 500, when there's a wreck, the race goes under yellow, meaning everyone has to maintain neutral position and there's no passing. So the race actually finished under a yellow flag. And at the time, Liz Liebman was on the front of the pack setting herself up for the sprint. She crossed the line and took the win. So even though Theta is the returning champion, they still have something that they want to prove. And at the same time, Tabitha was in that same sprint and never got a chance to actually sprint that final lap.
So she has to want that redemption this year and to have that chance in that final lap. And you got to think with Kappa Alpha Theta, with the depth that they have, and we'll talk to their coach Ryan Knapp a little bit later, but don't you think that their strategy is going to be to run out in front of the field and try to get that big lead before the end of the sprint?
Yeah, I think not only with them maybe not necessarily having the best sprinter in the race and them also being the deepest team, they're likely going to want to try to get a gap. Now, it's curious to see, are they going to try to go early and get a large gap? You know, there's always that thought, can someone possibly lap the field? Because that's one of the only ways you can really kind of get yourself some space in the race. Or are they going to wait till the end and try to get a gap so there's less of a chance for other teams to pull them back and they can hold that gap to the end?
Kevin, another team to watch. They're starting in the middle of the second row. They've got the gray jerseys, sponsored by Girls Inc. WCIU, is Teeter, the only dorm team in the team, and they've recently undergone a coaching change.
They have 2010 and 2011 champions Teeter. They had a coach since 2005 who was operating out of Chicago, kind of a satellite coach, and he was just instructing them over Skype, over phone calls, but wasn't able to actually be at the track in Bloomington. Recently, they've made a change to John Becker. John Becker, former rider in the Little 500, he's been able to come in, make a program that has more specialization, really caters to the need of each girl on the team, and they said his on-hands experience this year has been invaluable, so look for Teeter to make some moves today.
Another team to watch out for is AKO, and I don't know if you can hear behind us, but the AKO fan checks in just beneath us here in the press box, and with their AKO chants, Coach Dave Harstad qualifying 4th, and they struggle a little bit in ITTs, however.
Yeah, so that's another story about a team having a local coach. So AKO had been on and off, good team, and then they brought Dave Harstad in. He lives in Bloomington, so he's able to be really hands-on and work with him on the track. they had Kelsey Tharnstrom on the team, a fabulous sprinter, and really was their best shot at getting a win. And she has since graduated, so I think they're in a bit of a rebuilding year, so it'll be interesting to see what they can come up with.
So again, Kappa Alpha Theta, the favorites here at the 29th women's Little 500, started back in 1988. They almost a 4-second deficit to the second place team. They really did a great job in qualifying. So Kappa Alpha Theta, Phoenix, and Delta Gamma will round out the first row. And right now, we're going to send it down to our fourth reporter of our team. He was the 2014 champion for the Blackheath Bulls, the People's Champions. We're going to send down to the fourth member of our team, Steven Gomez. Steve?
Hi, I'm Steven Gomez. I'm going to be giving you the scoop on the ground today by interviews with riders and coaches. I'm here with Kappa Alpha Theta's coach, the returning champions, Ryan Knapp. Ryan, what's the strategy today?
We just want to stay out of trouble. We've got a good team, obviously, but we're just looking to stay out of trouble, be at the front, and let the race come to us. We don't have any, groundbreaking revelations or anything like that. We just want to be at the front, get the race underway, and kind of take what opportunities come our way. We're not looking to do anything spectacular early on. Just like I said, calm the nerves, get out there, get a couple sets under our belt, and see what the situation is at that point. So,
who are some of the competitors you're looking out for today?
You'd have to be nuts to not consider Phoenix. They're obviously a good team. Tabitha is clearly, a very fast individual. DG has a very good team. They've got Kristen Bignell, who's obviously strong. And then there are a lot of teams I feel like that are going to be right there as well. Teeter, AOPI, AKIO. There's a cluster of 5 or 6 teams that we plan to kind of pay attention to, but certainly DG and Phoenix have proven that they've got some quality. So,
thanks, Ryan. Good luck to you guys. Shooting it back up to the booth.
And we'll be checking in with Steven throughout the race, whether there's a wreck going on or just updates throughout the race, interviews. We'll check in with him with track conditions right before we go live with the green flag. It's going to be 100 laps around this quarter-mile cinder track, makes up 25 miles. Of course, we'll go 200 laps tomorrow for 50 miles in the 66th edition of the Ren's Race. Right now, we are joined by a very special guest. Pam has stepped away for a moment. Robbie Howard of 33to1.com. And Robbie, tell us a little bit about your site and how you got started, because you're someone who's very passionate about the Little 500 races.
Yeah, I started my website 3 years ago, back when I was a senior here at IU, my senior year. I was looking for an outlet to cover the Little 500 because, like you said, it is one of my favorite races. It's my favorite time of the year. This is my favorite 2 days out of the year. Very excited to be here. And I needed a place to cover it, so I decided to start my own website exclusively about Little 500.
Robbie, everybody knows Kappa Alpha Theta, the champions last year and the year before, looking for first three-peat in women's Little 500 history. If they're going to be dethroned, who's going to be the team to do it today?
Well, I think if someone's going to do it, it's going to be either Delta Gamma or Phoenix. I really like Delta Gamma. They have a lot of depth. Perhaps most importantly, they have a lot of returning riders, a lot of experience. There's a lot of cohesion there. They return all 4 of their riders from last year. Several riders are in their 3rd career race. That's a big deal. And, of course, as you guys have talked about already, Phoenix with Tabitha Sherwood, obviously the most dominant rider in this year's field.
Who are some dark horse teams that maybe qualified back in the field a little bit but have shown some promise throughout the spring series that you've seen that might make an impact and might be in that lead peloton towards the end of the race?
Yeah, Ski is a team that qualified 7th, and this is their 3rd year as a team.
A young team.
Yeah, a young team, but they've qualified in the top 10 all 3 years, and they have one of the race's most elite riders in Megan Hubricks, a very strong rider in her own right, and someone who's really flown under the radar a little bit this spring. She will be leading Ski this year.
And they have a legendary coach.
Yes,
Tom Saccone.
Yes, Tom Saccone, a very good coach. He's done wonders for them, really has brought Ski from absolutely no team at all to a team that here we are talking about them on race day.
Robbie, obviously going into the spring series, everybody had their kind of expectations for what this year's race was going to be. Tell us something that happened during the spring series, whether it was ITT's, Team Pursuit missing out, something that surprised you going into the race.
Well, I think that I was personally really surprised that Theta dominated as much as they did in the spring series. I think looking at them, they only lost 1 rider from last year's championship team in Liz Lieberman, but Liz Lieberman was last year's Tabitha Sherwood. She was the best rider in last year's field. And so for Theta to come out and not only win the white jersey, of course they're wearing yellow today, but for them to dominate Spring Series the way that they did with so many young people. I mean, you look at Grace Bennett is a rookie, and Rachel Brown is a rookie, and they both did very well in both ITTs and Missing Out. It seems like this Theta program is really built to last.
Again, we are joined by Robbie Howard of 33to1.com, and this is kind of a different area we're in with beautiful weather for the women's race. It's been kind of nasty the last few years, but with that, it's going to be a dry track, and it's definitely going to be tough for riders to stay out of trouble today, don't you think?
Yeah, it was interesting. I got here about 3 hours before the race started, and they were already rolling the track, so I know that they're trying to pack down the cinders as much as possible. Like you said, it's ideal track conditions for the riders is when it rains the night before and all of the cinders can really get packed down, and then they roll it, and it's perfect. I don't believe that happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think
it rained last
I don't
night,
think
no.
it's rained recently in Bloomington, so that will be a bit of a challenge, but I don't think any rider is going to complain. It looks pretty beautiful out there.
Robbie, we've talked about Tabitha Sherwood a great deal, and for good reason. If Phoenix is going to be able to get it done, though, they're going to have a strong performance from the other three. Who are some other girls that we should know on Phoenix's roster?
Yeah, you look, Lauren Brand was a very good rider. She qualified or finished, I believe, 22nd. She's top 25 in ITTs.
Yeah.
A very strong rider. And there, Melissa Raggets and Clara Butler will be rounding out their roster there. Very solid riders, and they're definitely going to have to do a lot of work, especially because Phoenix is going to want Tabitha to be fresh for the sprint finish. If there is a sprint finish, you want your sprinter to be ready to go and not have wasted all of their legs during the course of the race.
With the Little 500, of course, it's known for the bike races and the world's greatest college weekend, but really with the weather getting warm and it being nicer out, there's just a certain energy on campus, and you've been removed for a couple of years now, but talk about the energy that just comes to campus when Little 5 Week comes.
You know, it's tough for me to explain because I started a website exclusively about an event that only takes place 2 days a year, and people kind of think I'm crazy, and when I try to explain it, I can't explain it with words. You can't even really explain it with video. It's something that you really just have to be here to understand, and that's something that I was just thinking about, just walking around the track here, seeing all the energy, like you said. Everyone's so excited. This is an event that truly brings the entire campus of Indiana University together. It's something that everyone can get involved in, and it's just really exciting to be not only a student, but also to be an alum and to come back and just feel all of the excitement that's here on campus.
Obviously, coaching a huge factor in this race. We just talked to Theta coach Ryan Knapp a moment ago. Who are some other coaches that you think have really boosted their programs and elevated them to another level this past year?
Well, like you said, Tom Saccone. When you think about top coaches, I think that he's someone who I know a little bit about his training regimen, and just his approach is very unique, and I think that that's something that you've obviously seen. Ski has had results. You talked last year, Ski was right there in the finish. They crashed out on that last lap, and unfortunately then that sort of suffered their final finish. But he's done wonders with that program. That's a team that they had absolutely no experience 3 years ago, and now they're a team that we talk about on race day.
So, Robbie, let's get your official prediction. Can we go 1 through 5? Can we go that deep?
Yeah.
Do we have 1 through 5?
I can go 1 through 5. You can also find those predictions on my website on 33to1.com. Number 1, I have Cap Alpha Theta winning it all. I think that they're going to have to make a move to avoid a sprint. Actually, I think that's in their favor to not be in a sprint finish, but I think they're a team that's deep enough that they can sort of push the pack and push the peloton and just run out in front of everyone. I like Delta Gamma second. Like you said, Kristen Bignall, a very, very strong rider, right behind Tabitha Sherwood, actually, flying a little under the radar behind Sherwood. Delta Gamma number 2.
And 7 combined starts already for those riders.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Delta Gamma is a very good team. Phoenix number 3. I just think that Sherwood might be a little gassed. I'm guessing that they're really going to have to lean on her a little bit. So Phoenix number 3. Number 4, Alpha Omicron Pi, which has had a very good spring. This has been a tremendous season for the AO Pi team. They've kind of come out of nowhere. Great to see them having such a good season. And then Teeter, number 5, the Team Pursuit winners. A very good spring for them, and they've sort of rebounded after having a bit of a down year last year. They're back in the discussion of the elite teams this year as well.
Very much so. Well, Robbie, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to reading your coverage. Again, you want to promote that again?
Yeah, that's 33to1.com, and we're on Twitter at 33to1_Little 500.
Very exciting. Follow him for all the updates today if you can't watch the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Robbie.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Robbie Howard of 33to1.com. As we gear up closer towards race time, it's just a beautiful atmosphere here in Bloomington as we take you through some of the more rules of the race. 5 exchanges these teams have to go through, as you can't rely on just one rider for a whole race.
And that's something we saw down on the track, Sam. Something these ladies are really going through and practicing painstakingly. Even before the race, they're doing full speed transitions. It's such an important part of the race. And it's something in a shortened race, a much shorter race than the men's race, it's something that if you have a bad transition, it's going to make a lot more of a difference. It's going to make a bigger dent on your team's chances. So it's going to be a huge part of today's race.
Yeah, last year in the men's race, Sigma Phi Epsilon actually crashed in the early going, was a half a lap behind, and that's something that you might not be able to come back from in a women's race, where it's only an hour and 14 minutes last year, and with the great sprinting that we get with Tabatha Sherwood, with Theta wanting to maybe extend the pace a little bit, that might even be quicker this year.
The race is going to be a fast one this year. We were talking earlier, and Pam brought up 2:14 is far from the best time we've ever seen. The best time we've ever seen hovers more around 2 hours. I think 2 hours 2 minutes. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw a time that rivals that today with the incredible conditions. And like you said, everybody's going to want to push the pace. They do not want to get into a sprint with Tabatha Sherwood and, for that matter, Kristen Bignall of Delta Gamma.
And we bring back Pam Lobig to our broadcast. Pam, welcome back. As we talked with Robbie a little about the coaches that are really going to make an impact on their team. He talked about Tom Saccone. As a coach, what goes into that role as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Coaches can play a big role not just on race day, but you got to remember these are college students. So these are people that are just figuring it out and how to be on a team and how to train for something and set long-term goals. And that's kind of the point of the race too. Beyond creating great bike racers, they're really trying to create great leaders. And so a coach can really empower a team by teaching them race strategy and helping them understand how the race works and why, so that they can actually make those decisions on their own when they're in the race. You know, there are rules about this race. There are no radios. There's no directly communicating with your coach. So oftentimes you'll see the coach holding up dry erase boards trying to give secret messages and codes to the team, but you can't tell them what to do all the time. So it's really cool to watch these coaches help them out.
All right, so continuing to talk about the 29th running of the Little 500, Sam Rumps along with Kevin Heil and Pam Lobig and Stephen Gomez, our fourth member, as we want to get down to him a little bit sooner. So we're gonna toss down to Stephen Gomez, the fourth member of our broadcast team, and he's going to talk to Luke Momper about the Schwinn bicycles that will be run in this race. Stephen?
By popular demand, I am here with Kappa Delta's mechanic and former Little 500 champion, Luke Momper. Luke, take me through some of the bike mechanic stuff you'll be doing today.
Well, first, thanks, Gomez.
You're welcome.
Lots of stuff. So typically we're hoping for a smooth race, maybe a couple seat height adjustments, pump up the tires mid-race just to make sure they're running right where we want them. Worst case scenario, might have to change a chain, change a flat. But typically, our team this year is relatively lucky. They're all about the same size, so we don't have to swap any handlebars. Not a lot of height adjustment even. We've got some spare collars on there, so we can just slam them down. All the seats are marked. Keep it simple.
Sure. Yeah. So what are your expectations for Kappa Delta today and in the race in general?
I like the Kappa Delta team this year. My sister, this is her 4th year. They have the first team in 16 years at Kappa Delta to have an entire veteran returning team. So lots of experience coming back. They all finished relatively close together in ITTs too. So just a real level, steady, ready to go experienced team. I see a top 10, top 5. I mean, who knows? It's Little 5. Anything can happen on that last lap.
Thanks for your time, Luke. Good luck today. Back to you guys in the booth.
To the booth as you get a look at the crowd here beneath us here up in the press box, and it's just a sea of colors and always a beautiful sight. And Pam, before we go to the starting lineup here, talk more about the bicycle, because it's kind of an old style Schwinn bicycle, not a whole lot of technical. It's not a very technical bike, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's one of the best parts about this race is that they keep things very simple. And it's interesting. So it's a single speed bike. So the only way that you can go faster is by pedaling those pedals faster. And actually in the men's and women's race, they ride the same gear. And you'll notice a bit of a difference. So in the men's race, it's much more about the spin. And they really do a lot of spin training and try to keep that spin really smooth. In the women's race, they absolutely have to have a smooth spin as well. But there's a little bit more of a room for them to have some more pop in They're not riding near their high end of their maxed out spin the whole time. So I think you can really notice a difference in teams when they're coming off of their exchanges. So they have that pop. Can they get right back up to the pack quickly, or does it actually drag on them and take them a while before they can get back to the pack?
And coaster brakes as well, which is something interesting, not the hand brakes. And that can create some challenges, can it?
It can create some challenges, but it's absolutely necessary. So going into these exchanges, if you were trying to use your hands to brake while jumping off the bike at the same time, it wouldn't let you do that.
All right, right now we're going to send it down to the PA announcer, Chuck Crabb, actually for the invocation. So we'll step aside for a few minutes for the invocation and the PA.
As we begin this day, let us call upon God to bless this race and all those partaking. Dear God, we welcome your presence here among us on this glorious day. We trust that you have created this day for gain, not loss, success, not failure, positive action, not negative thought. Inspire within us the desire for greatness, to wisely use the gifts and talents you have so generously given us. They are tools to be used, not treasures to be stored. Create in these athletes the right attitude to excel in the classroom and on the track. Keep all those racing safe from injury and harm. And above all, give us the grace to persevere no matter what the odds, to never lose hope no matter how far back we fall, and see within every moment the grace to win the race. Amen.
Your colors today being presented by the Pershing Rifles Color Guard from Indiana University's own ROTC program. IU's Pershing Rifles is a competitive drill and honor squad which consistently receives high marks in national competition. Watch skyward for parachuters from Skydive Indianapolis carrying the American flag and the state of Indiana flag. Please join our riders and coaches in celebrating America's freedom and those who now protect it. We especially honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. We ask that you all remove your caps. It's our privilege to introduce IU Jacobs School of Music student Brooke Vance. Brooke is a junior from Houston, Texas, majoring in vocal performance. She also is a member of a Sigma Kappa sorority. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke Vance presenting our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And welcome back to the booth as you get a look at the Skydivers coming in, a wonderful rendition of the national anthem, as we'll take you through the starting lineups for this, the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500. Of course, starting on the pole is Kappa Alpha Theta. They'll wear the yellow jerseys. Starting in the middle of the front row is Phoenix, sponsored by U.S. Army. Delta Gamma, sponsored by B97 on the outside of the front row. Alpha Omicron Pi with the orange-reddish jerseys in the inside of the second row. Teeter, as we talked about, undergoing the coaching change. And then Alpha Chi Omega, ACHIO, in the outside of row 2.
One of the things that AO Pi talked about is they felt disrespected last year. Some announcers were calling them Alpha Omegatron Pi. Not even ironically, these girls said that they feel like they're going to command more respect this year, and that's not going to happen again.
And before we round out the starting lineup, we'll go back to the PA feed for the edition of Back Home Again, Indiana by Another Round.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon hastens all its fragrance from the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home. Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still shining bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon sends all its fragrance from the fields I used to roam. When I dream about moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana.
And welcome back to the booth here at the 29th running of the Women's Little 500. And right now, we're going to send it back down to the field and talk to Stephen Gomez once again. Stephen?
I'm here with the judge of the Little 500, Valentin Totoro. Val, what are you looking for in the race today? What are you going to be judging?
There's a couple of things we judge. Obviously, number one priority for us is rider safety. Okay, so a few things that we look at is obviously exchanges, making sure they exchange within the zones, both for bike-to-bike and single-bike exchange. We look for things during like a yellow flag, somebody's creeping, making sure that they get penalized properly. You know, fair race is what we're looking for. And hopefully today we have a great race. The conditions are fantastic, and you know it's gonna be great. But we're in communication with the chief steward, so whatever happens, everybody's communicating, and everybody will have a fair race today.
Can we get a prediction on the winner today?
No, I have no predictions. I'm a judge.
That's a great judge right there. Thanks, Val. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much. We are back in the press box here, and we're going to send it to a break before we get the green flag coming up in the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500 as they're just about to mount their Schwinn bicycles. So we'll take a quick break and be back. This is the Little 500.
The Bicentennial campaign is exciting because it's 200 years. It's exciting because it's the largest campaign we've ever had. It's exciting because it's focusing on enriching the experience for the students.
Why it's special to the Student Foundation is there is a $10 million portion dedicated to IUSF. It's the first of its kind for us, and we're incredibly thrilled and so excited to be a part of it. But what it's going to help us do is to continue to shape students' lives for all of the years to come, for alums to ensure that other students get to have that great experience that they got to have, and it also helps us stay better.
Ways to get involved in our campaign are plentiful. There'll be greater or lesser amounts of money that are given person to person, but the fact that they're active in advocating for the next generation in terms of creating opportunity, that's exciting. And that's what the Bicentennial Campaign gives us an opportunity to do. That is reactivate, re-encourage, reinvigorate our alumni constituency in support of what the principles of the institution are.
It's so important to raise these funds because we're going to need it to continue our great efforts in leadership development. Facility needs to make sure that the Little 500 stays as safe as it can, to make sure that our track looks as good as it always can, to keep our riders' safety first and foremost, and also to have the space that we need for the demand with our students. There's also a scholarship component to that, and that's going to make sure that we continue to do the great work that we do of giving scholarships back to students, because that's the heart of what we do at the IU Student Foundation. And an endowment that's going to keep us going forever.
Of course, we're a public university, but a lot of the fantastic resources we have are given to us because of alumni donors.
The generous support of our donors are what create the story that is IU.
Our alumni body is about 600,000 people. Those 600,000 people, about 13% are donors. One of those elements is the alums who are part of the Student Foundation program. Of that program, contrast this with 13%, 63% are donors. 63%, this is an unheard of number.
All the beautiful landscaping, the sample gates, things that aren't even academic are given to us, but then all the smart boards in your classroom, all the iPads, all the computer labs, all of that is made possible because of giving back to the university and enhancing our experience as students, because they had a great experience.
And so they just want to see the betterment of IU, the betterment of the Student Foundation. They want to see people continue to grow, and they want to leave it better than it was when they were here.
Philanthropic dollars can be invested without a worry of a bottom line profit, because the bottom line profit in this case is going to be whatever that person you gave opportunity to contributes to society. That's exciting.
And welcome back to the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500. We've got one lap to green. Pam, what's going through the racers' minds as we go through the final pace lap?
Well, you've got people kind of worried about the first lap of the race. It's going to be really fast, and sometimes there is a wreck on the race. You want to get in good position and make sure you hang on.
As we go through the rest of the starting lineup, Ski, Kappa Kappa Gamma, CSF. Fourth row, Alpha Gamma Delta, Alpha Sigma Alpha, Crew. Row 5, KD, Kappa Delta Melanzana, Alpha Delta Pi, AZD, Delta Sigma Pi, Theta Phi Alpha, Gamma Phi Beta, Chi Omega, Independent Council Cycling, Ride On, Wing It, Delta Zeta, Phi Mu, Alpha Phi Delta Phi Epsilon. As they come around for the fourth turn, the green flag is in the air, and the 29th running of the Women's Little 500 is underway. Beautiful alignment as we head towards the first turn.
Sam, like we talked about pre-show, everybody's going to be trying to push the pace so that they can get it out of the hands of sprinters like Tabitha Sherwood. It'll be interesting to see how early these teams make that move.
And quickly rounding out the starting lineup for you, IU Nursing, Delta Delta Delta, Alpha Epsilon Phi, and Sigma Delta Tau in the 31st starting position. A fast start as Phoenix quickly takes the lead, and DG goes right behind him. So as they come around the fourth and final turn, Phoenix Cycling in their second year will take the lead. And Tabitha Sherwood is on the bike to start the race. Interesting to start off with your sprinter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a safe thing to do to make sure you're out front, but you need to make sure that you're not burning her out. It looks like a smooth, fast start. You've already got people falling off the back of the pack, and you can tell as it's strung out that they really are keeping high speed. Looks like the girls are working well together, rotating off. You've had Theta, you've had Phoenix, you've had DG, and now AO Pi taking a pull.
As Delta Gamma will cycle back just a little bit on the outside, come around the fourth turn, the second lap will be complete. And AO Pi in the lead. followed by Kappa Alpha Theta and Teeter, then Phoenix, and then Delta Gamma in 5th.
AO Pi pulling off quickly. Looks like they don't want to be on the front of this race. You know, and that makes sense for a team that's been rebuilding. And yes, they're definitely strong, but not the strong favorite going in. Look to see them trying to conserve, I would say, a bit early in this race.
And with the no rain, Pam, the track certainly looks very dry, and it's going to get drier as the race goes on.
Yeah, you know, weather conditions, this is about perfect. The flags are hanging down absolutely flat. There is no wind out there. The sun's out. The temperature's great, but the track does look dry. This can make the turns loose, especially when they're at faster speeds.
As Phoenix takes the lead as we score lap number 3 here.
Already creating a gap in the pack here. We've got probably a good 10 teams that have already fallen off the pack. Which is interesting, too, because normally, you know, I guess it's because it's not so windy, and normally sometimes the wind can force the pack to stay together more, so maybe the drafting isn't as important with the less wind today.
Yeah, Delta already more than half a lap back, and we are just about to complete the 4th lap. Kevin, your thoughts on what we've seen so far?
Brutal for these teams in the back of the pack like you guys are talking about. This group now really just looks like the top 2/3 of the field. A significant portion of the field has already lost the main peloton, but you can see who the heavy hitters are very early on. We've already seen Teeter in the lead. We've seen Kappa Alpha Theta in the lead, Phoenix. These teams are really pushing each other early, Sam. This is going to be a fast race if we've ever seen one.
As they go down the backstretch, Teeter with the lead, and as we talked about, they won back-to-back titles in 2010 and 2011, but back-and-forth success the last 4 years. A 3rd, 8th, 2nd, and 11th last year, and that's what facilitated the coaching change going with John Becker.
And a very interesting move to bring in John Becker. Like we said pre-race, they hadn't had a coach who lived in Bloomington since 2005. Their previous coach had been living in Chicago, and he had just been communicating with them over the phone, over Skype, and just really wasn't able to have that hands-on experience with the girls. And earlier on this week, they just said the program that we had was really a one-size-fits-all program, and it didn't really cater to the needs or really the skill set of the girls. This year, John Becker rather, has really changed that up, made it a more specialized type of training program, and his hands-on touch at the track has really paid off huge for these girls. Like you said, champions in 2010 and 2011. And Pam, something that we haven't seen in a while, there has not been a champion that just wins 1 year in a row since 2009.
That's right. Since Pi Phi, since then we had Teeter win 2 in a row, Delta Gamma win 2 in a row, and then Theta win 2 in a row. So it'll be interesting to see. Will Theta be the first women's team that can ever win 3 in a row? We've seen it happen on the men's side, but there's never been a women's team to win 3 times in a row.
How about this? Alpha Sigma Alpha perhaps going on a burnout here as they get about a 3-bike length advantage. They go around turn number 2 and sprinting down the backstretch. We've got quite a fast pace going here. Thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast of the Women's Little 500. We'll be right back here for the men's race tomorrow as you get a look at turns 3 and 4. That's quite a big peloton here, and I'm glad to see that we've had a clean race so far. No crashes yet.
It looks like the riders are working really well together and moving around really nicely. It's good to see.
Sam, you were right about ASA there. They were doing a burnout, now transferring over to another one of the riders. They were clear of the field there for a second, but things have evened out once again.
Yeah, that was Kappa Gamma.
Kappa Gamma, yeah.
Kappa Gamma doing that exchange. And I was talking to them earlier. You know, this is one of the teams that used to be Kappa Alpha Theta and Kappa Gamma were the 2 women's teams that kind of went back and forth winning and competing for who had the most wins of all time. And recently, Theta's been the strong team. And I was talking to Kappa Gamma Pitt. They've gotten some of their famous alumni had some of those wins back involved now, and they're really trying to rebuild the team. But I think it's still a little bit early for them.
And now we see the 13th ranked team, Kappa Delta. And we talked to Luke Momper a little bit before the race. He is the mechanic on that team. His sister, Libby Momper, is a senior, entered 3rd Little 500 out of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
You know, it's cool to see Little 500 really is a family affair. Lots of siblings going through, riding for different teams. Oftentimes, we'll see in the men's race tomorrow, we've got 2 brothers that get to ride together on the same team. Not surprising to see. I think when you see one of your siblings train for this and get to go through such a special experience, you want to do it too.
The brothers Krahulik for SAE, Joe and Andy, as they are favorites, one of the favorites for tomorrow's race. 2 very, very fast sprinters, and that'll be a fun race tomorrow.
Absolutely.
As we have scored 9 laps complete.
Looks like the pace is slowing down a bit. There is a lot of rotating happening at the front of the pack. It seems like no one's really wanting to take on that burden and pull the pack for too long.
One of the things we're seeing in front of us amongst all the pageantry, all of these different sororities, all these teams and their fan sections below us, but the man standing dead in front of us, a celebrity in his own regard over the past year, Bachelor Ben.
Ben Higgins from the ABC program with his fiance from the show.
Yeah.
He's the grand marshal for this weekend, and I know Stephen Gomez was just thrilled about the possibility of getting to interview him.
Oh, he loves the possibility of being able to interview him. Sam, Pam, big Bachelor fans?
I have to admit, I've never seen the show.
Never one episode of the show?
Never once.
Pam?
I have to admit I'm in the same camp.
I would admit I'm in the same camp. I have older sisters, though. The Bachelor was on all the time growing up. So I can't say that I haven't seen an episode, didn't see any events, but certainly seems to be a fan favorite. Got quite the response from the ladies in the crowd when he was announced.
We've got a group of exchanges happening here. So we've got CSF coming out. Looks like AO Pi trying to get a burn, but Teeter was right there on them. So they're coming out for their first exchange. Clean exchange. Let's see if they get back in the pack nicely.
Rough exchange there from AO Pi. Looking disappointed getting off the bike, shaking her head. Get some condolences from their mechanic.
It's been a fun race so far. Thank you for tuning in, whether it's on broadcast.iu.edu or on WIUX. Thrilled to partner together this year and bring you both the men's and the women's Little 500. As the lead peloton coming around turn number 4. We've got 3 wide there for the lead. And it's neck and neck Kappa Alpha Theta and AKO. And that's a pretty big lead peloton there, still sticking together.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about those yellow jerseys that Kappa Alpha Theta has on, whether it's the Tour de France, whether it's the Little 500, that yellow, that really puts the bullseye on your back and really lets the rest of the field know where you're at, because you're not hiding with that bright yellow.
You are not at all, and especially a team like Theta coming in, the returning champions, winning quals, winning the Spring Series event, putting 3 of their riders in the top 10 in ITTs. They're absolutely the team to watch, and they're a marked team. So I think, you know, people are going to be all over them and watching them. We've also got Tabitha as a very marked rider too, but in the black jersey, not as obvious. And you know, so I think people are keeping an eye out for her, but we'll see if she can sneak away with anything.
Has a few teams on burnouts as they go down the backstretch. The bulk of the peloton halfway down the backstretch now. We're at Bill Armstrong Stadium.
Yeah, AKO looks like they had a nice burn there. You know, that's shows that they know the race well, and the good coaching there to teach them how to get the burn and come out of the pack. So they set their next rider up nicely to go right back in with no problems.
As the leader right now in the pink jerseys, Kappa Kappa Gamma, crossing the line of that peloton as they go to turn number 1. As the exchanges are so important in this race, because you can really gain or lose quite a few valuable seconds here.
Yeah, and absolutely. Not only the burn that you get going into the exchange or coming out of the exchange, but also when you decide to do your exchanges. You know, you can see where the team's pitted along the sides. Sometimes teams, when they're watching each other, will actually do exchanges at specific timing with other teams to make sure that you don't leave a door open while you're exchanging for another team to get a chance to do something. Here comes Tabitha moving up on the outside. Looks like Melanzana's going to go for a burn now, go out for an exchange.
Tabitha just cruising along there.
She wasn't even pedaling for a little bit there.
Effortless, just gliding along with the leaders. Like you said, the burnout happened, so there's a bit of a distance right now, but she's just gliding along with the leaders as the separation right now between the peloton and the teams that they're about to lap is closing in rapidly.
Yeah, so Tabitha is also one of the only riders that really races outside of the Little 500, and I think it really shows. You know, she looks very comfortable on the bike. She has a very efficient spin, and I think she understands the strategy of bike racing well.
Pam, tell us more about Tabitha's background. What was she involved in high school? Was she playing any different sports, or or just her off the track on Little 5 riding history? What does she favor? What kind of training does she do in the off season?
Yeah, I don't know too much about her history, but I do know that she races. So there's collegiate racing that happens as well. So she would race for Indiana University against other colleges. And she did do a bit of racing throughout the summer as well. So she's got some of that race experience.
And we've got our first crash of the day out in turn number 3. We'll try to see who that is as the yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is out, so these teams will go to a little bit of a slower pace as we try to get a look. We might have an injured rider down there in turn 3. So the
Doesn't
officials.
look like it involves any of our main contenders. I see still in the pack we've got AO Pi, Phoenix, Delta Gamma, Theta.
That might be KKG down there. Kappa Kappa Gamma. It looked like a pink jersey. And I don't see them coming around.
Wait
that would be unfortunate.
Communication on this one.
Oh, I see. There's Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Kappa Kappa Gamma's in there.
Okay, they are still in the
We've
lead
got
pack.
Teeter, who was actually exchanging while the wreck happened. So they were a little bit off the back of the pack here. You'll see them. So they're now gapped down a bit. As soon as it goes green, they're going to have to get on it to close that gap and get back up to the pack.
And with the cinders, that's tough to crash on those cinders, I'm sure.
It is. You know, it's oftentimes talked about as a little 500 tattoo. Many riders that have ridden in this race permanently have taken some cinders with them. It has something about these cinders, when you wreck on it, it's like a cheese grater, and it puts grooves into your skin and buries the cinders in you.
Well, hopefully the riders are okay. We've got 2 on backboards down there. And the yellow flag remains out. You see the officials giving the yellow flag.
Pam, whether it's as a rider or a coach, when the yellow flag's up, what are you taught to do, and really what's your mentality as it's going?
We're going green here. Yeah, you're taught to really try to use that time to recover. So take deep breaths, settle in. You know, this gives you a chance, if you were, say, getting tired and gonna get it to come out, this gives you a chance to stay in and calm down a bit and maybe get a few more laps out of it.
Second is Phoenix, team number 2. Alpha Z Delta, team 16, has made its way up. Currently third.
So as we see back under green flag conditions here, as AO Pi has the lead as they come to turn number 4, but Phoenix looks to be taking that away.
Looks like Teeter's having no problem coming right up back on the outside, we'll see if they continue on coming to the front of the pack. And that's why it's so important that not only you're in the pack, but that you're in a good position in the pack, because near the back, when it gets wider and there's more of a yo-yo effect. So say there's a slight breakup in the front of the pack, as that moves back through the pack, it becomes really big jerks, and that's where you can catch yourself. You know, sometimes the bike could take you out and it's through no fault of your own, but it's just where you were in the pack. So that's why it's important, you know, all these riders ride with each other in track practice all year, and you get to know each other and you get to know the other riders and where you feel comfortable riding in a pack and who you feel comfortable riding around.
So it looks like possibly Theta Phi Alpha was involved in that crash. They are now in last position. So Theta Phi Alpha may have been involved in that crash as the leader. Kappa Alpha Theta right now, the pole sitter and Spring Series champ and 2-time defending champ. Last lap at 43 seconds. So
Pam, assess the
21
pace.
laps complete.
Assess the pace for us right now, how this stacks up to years past races.
Yeah, I would say, you know, at the beginning I thought it was starting off fast, but now it seems to be settling it down a bit. But here we have AO Pi coming out for their second exchange, and look at that burn. That is a great burn, considering they're not even going to exchange here until turn 1. Let's see if they can hold it. Looks like Kappa Kappa Gamma might be coming out for an exchange as well, but you know, AO Pi seems to be doing shorter sets. They were the first one out of the kind of main contenders to exchange, and this is now their second exchange, where you've got Theta and Phoenix, who I don't think have even done their first exchange.
And it's a shame, tough exchange there for AO Pi. Great burnout, like you said, another rough exchange. That's the second we've seen from them today.
Yeah, and that could really hurt them, you know, thinking about towards the end of the race, when you're at a much faster pace, you can't come back from a tripped up exchange like that, and it could take you out of the final sprint. So hopefully they're just getting out their early race jitters and those exchanges get a bit smoother. But I really think that exchanges can be part of race day strategy, you know, especially in the women's race. You'll see them, it just takes a bit longer to come back from an exchange. So if you can get those down and get them really smooth and maintain your speed, it's just going to allow you to spend less energy and be a lot fresher. Not to mention be able to actually exchange quicker in intense times during the race.
Now, there's two different options. You can go with the bike-to-bike exchange where you exchange bikes, or you can do the two-bike exchange where it's actually a different bike. Which did you prefer as a rider?
Well, on it, sometimes you don't have a choice. If you have people of very different heights,
right,
you have to have different bikes. But honestly, if you have a good exchange with one bike, it can be much faster than the bike-to-bike. Oftentimes, too, you'll see that sprinters will have a bike specifically dialed for them into their sprinting position. So even if they've been using the same bike all race, they'll actually do a bike-to-bike at the end to make sure they have that perfect bike set up for them for the final sprint.
As we're nearly a quarter of the way through of this 29th Women's Little 500, as cloud cover covers Bill Armstrong Stadium and the track here. A packed crowd at Bill Armstrong Stadium.
It's a glorious day. Much better weather than we've seen in years past in the women's race. We've seen a lot of cold, kind of damp days over the past few years. Couldn't ask for a better day for bike racing today. Fans getting out, looking like they're having a great time, and just the pageantry that the Little Five provides. Truly a tradition unlike any other at IU.
It is so special. We are really lucky to have this as part of IU tradition. You know, I think the riders have really earned it. The spring series leading up to this, the weather was awful. During Missing Out, we had 30-mile-per-hour winds. During ITTs, with torrential rain and downpour. And Team Pursuit, they even had to delay it a bit because it was raining so much. So it's nice to see them actually get a beautiful day to get out here and enjoy the track. Here we have Theta coming out for their first exchange. So we'll see. Looks like they are. Look, Phoenix is marking Theta closely unless Phoenix is going to exchange well. But it looks like they were trying to get a burn. They had the speed to get a nice burn, but the pack was right on them.
But sure would.
There goes Tabitha. She's shaking her head. No, I don't want to come out. She's going to keep going.
Wow.
DG right on Phoenix. You've got Tita right behind, but they are really hurting Theta because now look at Theta's a full quarter lap behind Phoenix because of that.
As we go through the top 10 at the end of that last lap, 26 laps complete. Phoenix 1, Delta Gamma 2, Kappa Alpha Theta 3, Teeter 4, Crew 5, Alpha Chi Omega, A Chi O 6, Kappa Delta in 7th, 8th AO Pi, and CSF in 9th place, and then 10th place Alpha Sigma Alpha.
Here they come. Okay, now they're exchanging. We've got, see, this is what I'm talking about, exchanges timed together. Delta Gamma exchanging and Phoenix exchanging at the same time. So they're able to work together on that burn, and that's really going to hurt Theta because now they have exchanged and they still have a gap on Theta. So if Delta Gamma and Phoenix can keep working together like that, then that's maybe the chance they have to go against such a strong and deep team in Theta.
So right now, as we're about a quarter of the way through the race, we're going to send it to a break. We're going to send it to a break coming up here in just a minute, as we will have an interview about lap 35. But right now, we're going to send it to a break here on the broadcast, WIUX, and broadcast.iu.edu. We'll be back shortly.
Taste the feeling.
And welcome back to the 2016 Women's Little 500 here on WIUX and broadcast.iu.edu. Took a short break there, but we are back just about 5 o'clock here local time in Bloomington, as Kappa Alpha Theta right now duking it out with Ski, which Ski is a team that we talked about in its third year of existence, coached by Tom Saccone, and that was a team that really improved throughout this offseason.
It did, and just to catch everyone up during that break, so right when we were going into the break, it was a pretty fast speed because we had the top teams Theta, Phoenix, and DG exchanging. In doing so, they have actually dropped Kappa, Kappa Gamma off of the pack, and they dropped Teeter in doing so. And Teeter has fallen so far back, they are actually close to getting lapped here. They're about 3/4 of a lap behind.
Wow.
But yeah, Ski, a really cool team, really cool story about them. It was IU Ski and Snowboard Club that actually decided, well, let's try this little 500 thing and get some bikes and we'll work it out. And they've got a great coach in Tom Saccone, who's a local cycling leader. Helping build up the team, and they unfortunately had some injuries take out one of their very strong riders, but it's been cool to see them build up their program.
As we come around, Teeter actually the leader right now, but here coming for a burn is Akayo.
I was with Pam there. I thought they were back because of their
I'm
pace.
sure. Yeah, there must be a mistake in that because I've been seeing them fall further and further back. I really think they're almost a lap down.
Interesting, as Ski and Theta going around turn number 2, hustling down that backstretch on the inside.
Now Teeter picking up the pace significantly. First time we've seen life out of them in a few laps.
As they're gearing up for an exchange. They are marked the leader right now as we go to lap 34.
Okay.
But I was with you guys. I thought they were down.
Me too.
As Theta passes Ski, and then on the bike right now for Theta is Madeline Lambert in her second race. She's a senior who finished 14th in ITTs, made it to the semifinals of missing out of Batesville, Indiana. She had multiple knee injuries in high school, but one playing basketball, one playing soccer, but she was she has recovered nicely and is racing here in Little 5. So right now we're going to send it down to the 4th member of our broadcast team. We're going to send it back down to Stephen Gomez with an interview. Stephen?
Hey, what's it like out there?
It's kind of hectic. People are like slowing down and speeding up. Just I think trying to shake off the slower teams.
Right, I saw you had some difficulty in exchange. What happened?
Oh, my rider put her bike in our pit. She should have been one pit back, but I still stopped in time, so it works. I think she's just nervous. She's our freshman rookie.
I noticed you're riding with 3 riders today. What's the finishing plan with only 3 riders?
Be there.
Be there at the end. All right, thanks, Megan. Back to you guys.
Checking back in with him shortly, as she was just on the bike. As we have 37 laps complete.
Great experience from Megan. This is going to be her 3rd Little 5 as a junior, so looking to do it all 4 years for the ski team. But like Steven brought up, it's going to be tough to stay in this race with only 3 riders. Pam, how common is that for a team to be as competitive as ski with not even a complete roster?
It's interesting that you bring that up because we were talking earlier about the correlation between spring series events results and how that relates to race performance. And a couple years ago, there was a group of people that did some analysis on it, and they found the highest correlation was actually where the 3rd strongest person on your team placed in ITTs, and then how your race performance worked. So it seems like in the women's race, it really matters how strong your 3 riders are, but maybe with the shorter race, it's not as important to have 4 fully strong riders. So I've seen teams get away with it in the past and actually be able to ride a very great race with just three riders.
Like you said, it's been shown that your 3rd strongest rider and how they perform in ITTs is indicative of race success. If that's the case, Kappa Alpha Theta has to feel good about it. Evelyn Malcolm, the 3rd placer from ITTs on Kappa Alpha Theta, and she finished 7th. So that's going to be tough. The 2nd best one of a 3rd place rider on a team, A.O. Pi, had Allie Opal finish 10th.
And it's been interesting watching A.O. Pi. It seems like they're doing much shorter sets than anyone else in the race. So I don't know if that's a sign of them trying to use everyone on their team or if they're just better at their shorter, quicker sets rather than these long, more kind of endurance-based sets.
As Phi Mu has come all the way up from the 25th starting position. A spectacular ride for them. Stephanie Chin, Nicole Coughlin, Katie Capusta, and Abby Vares. Only one race between them. That's Katie Capusta.
One of the things we asked Robbie Howard from 33-1 before the race, how many teams would you be not surprised if they won? He said the top 5 teams in qualification, and I said who else could be there, and he gave us teams from the first 3 rows. I don't think anybody saw this one coming.
As the rundown with 40 laps complete, Phoenix, Kappa Alpha Theta, Phi Mu, Teeter, A Chi O, Alpha Omicron Pi, Kappa Delta, Delta Gamma, Ski in 9th place, 10th place AZD, 11th place Alpha Gamma Delta, CSF, Crew in 13th, Kappa Kappa Gamma in 14th, Alpha Sigma Alpha, Alpha Delta Pi, Ride On in 17th, Melanzana in 18th, Chi Omega 19th, 20th place Delta Sigma Pi, Delta Zeta, IU Nursing, Independent Council Cycling, and Alpha Phi in 24th. 25th is Wing It, 26th Gamma Phi Beta, Delta Phi Epsilon in 27th, Theta Phi Alpha in 28th, Sigma Delta Tau is a good 6 laps down, Alpha Epsilon Phi in 30th place, and Delta 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 in last. That's your full field rundown with 41 laps now complete at the 29th Little 500.
You know, and you'll see as this race continues and more riders get spit out the back, it can get kind of congested here on the track, which is dangerous when people are coming in and out for exchanges. But they're really trying to avoid any major complications happening from that. If you can see these white dashed lines around the middle of the track, what they'll do is later in the race, any team who's not on the lead lap, they're going to strongly encourage them to move outside of the lines to avoid any of those crashes late in the race like we saw last year that really did affect the finish of the race.
And a slow exchange for Kappa Alpha Theta as they are now a good bit behind Delta Gamma, who also made an exchange that lap. And we'll see who the riders for DG, whoever it is, they're booking it.
That's an interesting point you bring up there, Sam, because we've seen now not only out of AOPI but Kappa Alpha Theta that transitions have been rough regardless of how quick they happen, regardless of whether a rider rode 10 laps or 7 laps. They've been rough from some of the top teams early on. We'll see how that affects positioning here later on in the race.
And one thing that we want to do that we've done in last year, in years past, is check out where you're viewing this race from or listening to the race from, either on WIUX.org/stream or on broadcast.iu.edu, free and available to stream online for the first time ever. So wherever you're watching and whoever you're rooting for, give us a tweet at WIUX Sports, and we will gladly give you a shout out.
Couldn't believe during last year's broadcast the diversity of locations amongst viewers and listeners.
I think we had about 10 countries last year for the men's race.
It was incredible, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised with WIX's partnership with IU Student Foundation. I would not be surprised at all if that 10 jumped to about 20 this year, Sam.
Again, tell us at WIUX Sports where you're listening from, maybe who you're rooting for, maybe a connection to the race.
Favorite memories, too.
Yep.
We'd love to hear stories about your connection with Little 500. I think everybody has their own unique experience and connection to the Little 500, so we'd love to hear from you.
I hear some Neon Indian on the speakers.
Neon Indian, Culture Shock headliner from a week ago, WIUX's annual music festival, bumping on the speakers right now.
We have Carol and Suna listening from Boston. Will Padgett listening online during the spot sets of his job. Peter Bernardi watching from Denver, loving the online stream. Barb Tager rooting on Grace Bennett of Theta.
Good year to be rooting on Theta.
Coach Jeber, former Alpha Chi rider, watching from Chicago. AE5 from Cincy, that's Molly watching. Shout out to Kelsey Winter rooting on DG Cycling from Minneapolis. Also, we've got Claire Gleaser, alumni in Tacoma.
Sam, AOPI making another exchange here. It's incredible how many exchanges these girls have made. Pretty clean exchange there from AOPI. It seems as if every time they're exchanging, it's improving slightly, and they're just becoming cleaner and cleaner, faster transitions.
Absolutely, and AKIO exchange at the same time, and look at that gap there. So AKIO, cleaner exchange and better burn, and they're already back up almost to the pack, and AOPI is a little bit behind. So you can see the difference that makes there. You know, it was interesting to watch when AOPI went out for their burn. The pack seemed to have no problem reacting to it. So it seems like you know, they're maybe not riding at the fastest speeds right now. People are conserving a bit.
As Theta has the lead, then KD, then Ski on the inside, Teeter in fourth, DG and Phoenix. We've got some more viewers. Bowling Green, Kentucky rooting on Crew Cycling. Sam Tucker and Muncie rooting for Theta, and Maddie Borgman for DG.
Little personal connection there.
Marguerite Huber watching Alpha Gam Cycling from Chicago. She was on the 2010 second place team. Kent Barger, watching from LaPorte, Indiana, up in the region. Tim Nixon in Cincinnati, but coming to Bloomington for the men's race tomorrow.
I'm sure all these people wish they could be in Bloomington for this race. I know a couple people that couldn't make it this weekend but would absolutely love to be here, and that's what's so special about the Little 500. You know, your whole life you're going to have something to come back to campus for, to stay connected to keep rooting for. This really is an event unlike anything else that exists out there, and it's just so cool to be a part of.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We even saw some WIX alums like Adam Cohn of CBS Sports come back for this whole week. He said he had to let CBS Sports know months in advance, but he said it was important to him to be able to be down here and soak in the atmosphere as much as he could.
Theta's number one rider, Grace Bennett, taking the lead into turn number one, followed closely by DG. I believe Catherine Ziegler on the bike in her third Little 500 from Amber, Pennsylvania. A lot of Indiana natives on the rosters.
So I was going to say,
quite a few Bloomington natives as well, some townies.
We do see some townies in this race, but we see much more diversity of the states in the women's race than the men's race. We see some from Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee. Really quite a number of states being represented. South Carolina, Kansas, California, Wisconsin, Maryland. Lots of states being represented. You don't see that nearly as much. Even Singapore in the race. Wingit's third rider.
You know, in one of those townies that we have riding in the race, Abby Rogers, she rides for Kappa Alpha Theta. She has actually attended every single Little 500 since she's been born. Her dad, Randy Rogers, was director of the Student Foundation, so it's something that's been a part of her life forever.
And she's president of the Riders Council as well. Very involved. She's an intern at the IU Varsity Club.
So speaking of people in leadership positions like that, Jordan Bailey, race director for IUSF, entering his last Little 500 weekend as the race director. Pam, that was a spot that you held just a few years ago, so tell us about what really goes into that position and what it's going to be like transitioning from Jordan to another race director.
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky enough to have the greatest job in the entire world, where my job was to put on this bike race, the Little 500. You know, most of it goes into it is just being a mentor and a manager there for the students. This is an event that's put on completely by students every year. And it really all comes down to the students doing all of the work. So you just get to sit back and enjoy it and just kind of help coach them and guide them through it.
All right now we're going to send it to another break here at lap 51 here. So we're going to send it to a break here on WIUX and broadcast.iu.edu.
Life and our daily walks are a race, and the Little 500 strives to be a microcosm of that truth.
In college, when you're in that moment, you don't find that ever again, and that's why people come back.
Today is the day, folks. It's finally here. A year's worth of training for 33 men's and women's teams is going to be put to the test this afternoon.
I read the rule book like the Bible. It's there.
The best $30 ticket in town.
I couldn't believe that she was able to participate with that amount of damage in her knee, and she won.
You think it was worth it? Yeah. I'm never going to be able to be like the caliber of an athlete that I was, you know, on Little 5 ever again.
I try and blame the guy that hit us. I try blaming myself, but I found that anger doesn't solve anything. There's so much emotion in this thing, and to have your brother there with you is special. Mentally, I'd like to think that I was a little bit better put together than everybody else out on the track. Anger's a barrier. Pain's a barrier.
Little five's a funny thing. You don't get a chance to do it over again. There's no race next week that you can fix the mistakes that you made the week before. It's literally all or nothing. I cannot believe you could look at that video and think that's the right call.
Who do they call out when they need them? Who do they give the bike to when they desperately, desperately need them to win? And that's me.
Looks like it is going to be Teeter.
And welcome back to the 29th running of the Women's Little 500. I'm Sam Rumps along with Kevin Highland, also Pam Lobig joining us up here in the press box. And Pam, it's been a fast race so far. We're already 55 laps complete.
Yeah, I think it's about time for something to happen. You know, they've been working together really well, sharing poles, keeping an okay pace. But if, you know, anyone wants to make a move, it's time for them to start get going. These next 50 laps are going to go by quick.
And we want to give some more of our viewers some shout outs as we look on twitter.com here, WIUX Sports. We've got South Bend. We've got all the way from Dublin, Ireland as we tune back to the race. And we've got a fantastic race going on so far here as you look at the peloton entering the backstretch and
Sam,
coming down the backstretch.
One thing that stands out, A.O. Pai, the short laps. We'll see how this pan off for them. Looks like they're about to do another exchange. They're burning right now, getting some separation from the peloton. But an unusual amount of exchanges, a really unique race strategy from these ladies.
You know, it looks like they're getting good gaps, so that's good. But if you're doing that over and over again, that can really burn you out. And I just also wanted to point out that AKO, every time they've gone to exchange, has really gotten a great gap. So we haven't talked about them too much as a big contender, but maybe they are a bit of a dark horse if they're able to get those gaps each time.
Absolutely.
Alpha Gamma Delta on front now. Looks like they're going to come out for an exchange.
We've got Des Moines, Iowa also tuning in. Lauren Johnson watching from Denver. Rango Smith out in Alaska. Also in the Bay Area in Pleasanton, California from Michael Serrano. Julie Hargrove from Jacksonville, Florida. Cameron Stouter up in South Bend. Rod Dean in Los Angeles. With a daughter in the stands, Ethan Gabe, a former WIUX Sports member, rooting on Ski Club cycling from the nation's capital. Brad Cook watching from a hotel room in Atlanta. Work conference be damned. Well, it is past 5 o'clock on Friday now, so hopefully you're able to enjoy the weekend now, as we'll be back here tomorrow. Janie watching in the Motor City. And Kate Dashwood listening and cheering for the Alma Mater Phi Mu.
I'll tell you what, Sam, it's so cool every single year to see where all these folks are viewing and listening from, because it really speaks volumes to, like we said, how many people are touched and affected by this race every single year, and how wide the alumni base at IU is. People, like we said, from Dublin, from LA, Alaska, so many folks here in Indiana. So it's always fantastic to see really the community that is created through this race.
As we look at the field, Kappa Delta leading after that last lap, and already just 41 laps to go. There's Kappa Delta going with a burnout, and they've got quite the lead. As the second place battle with Teeter, Alpha Chi Omega, Delta Gamma, Phi Mu in 5th, Phoenix Cycling in 6th, Kappa Alpha Theta in 7th, Ski in 8th, Alpha Omicron Pi, and CSF the top 10. Right now, we're going to send it down to the 4th member of our team, Stephen Gomez, with an interview. Stephen, take it away.
Zach, what are you seeing out there in the race so far?
It's staying tight. A lot of the good teams are controlling the front. I'd like to see Theta do a little bit more work, but Teeter's driving it, which is nice, but it's definitely a little bit different with a target on her back this year, getting marked a little bit.
Absolutely. You have probably the best rider in the race, Tabitha Sherwood. Is she going to be a key component in your finishing strategy?
Definitely. I mean, hopefully it doesn't have to come to that, but I mean, it's a good card for us to pull.
All right, thanks, Zach. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Back to you guys in the booth.
Thanks, appreciate it. Good luck. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
They went for exchange and kept that gap, and the pack is just sitting up. I don't know if they realize it. Here comes Kappa Delta across the start-finish line. So they've got more than a quarter lap gap on the pack, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down.
Wow. As they enter turn number 1, they're midway through turn number 1, is Akayo in second place, just now crossing the start-finish line.
And you heard Zach Luss, the Phoenix coach, say there that they wanted Theta to do more work. Well, of course they do. They want Theta to do more work. Theta really being able to conserve a lot of energy early on in the race right now.
Kappa Delta now has a half-lap gap on this pack, and they are just sitting 3 wide, not even trying to chase.
Kappa Delta.
Here they go, or maybe the AOPI is starting to pick up the pace. Maybe they're starting to realize.
It's over half a lap now.
It happens quick. If you catch the pack unexpected, you can really get a gap quickly.
Pretty experienced team is Kappa Delta. Maggie Mayer, a junior in her first race, senior Jessica McCoon in her, Maggie Mayer in her second race, Jessica McCoon, a senior in her second race, Libby Momper in her third race, and Penny Wheeler in her fourth race, for Libby Momper.
Do we have any identification on who this is on the bike for KD?
We'll try to get that as they come around next time. As we are at lap 62. Kappa Delta with the large lead.
And the lead's even larger now.
And it's Maggie Mayer on the bike.
An incredible performance here from Maggie Mayer. She keeps on making this lead larger for KD.
And there with CSF right behind KD, there are only 9 teams on this lead lap. Kappa Delta going down the backstretch now. Now coming around turn number 4 is AOPI.
You have to think this pack picks it up soon. There they go.
You would hope so.
There goes DG. Looks like Sarah Rivich on the bike right now, really trying to push the pace.
But it looks like she's just coming out for an exchange. It doesn't look like she's trying to work with the pack. However, sometimes a series of exchanges can lift the pace enough. Kappa Delta just had to exchange, so that would slow them down a little bit. They have now a little bit less than half a lap gap, but they're maintaining it. Hopefully, though, in doing these exchanges, when you get new riders on the bike, they're more aware and they know that there's that gap and they can start the pack to get coordinated and start chasing.
Penny Wheeler, the senior from Wadsworth, in her second race, like Sam said, now on the bike for Katie. We'll see if she can keep this lead as large as it is, but looks like right now the pace is pushing, even though there was just an exchange there from DG. Looks like the Peloton really woke up and is going to push the pace a little bit more than they were.
We've got Kappa Delta coming across the start-finish line right now, completing lap 65. The pack is rounding turn 3.
Madison currently watching while serving in the Peace Corps in Namibia.
Wow.
And it still doesn't look like the pack is chasing. They're not coordinated. They're sitting up. They're three wide across the front. I don't know if they just don't think Kappa Delta is a threat, if they don't realize that this gap is happening.
Yeah, very interesting that we see this big of a gap with just 34 laps to go.
You'd expect this 34 laps in maybe, but like you said, 34 laps to go. This lead's going to become very real in a few minutes if it remains how large it is right now.
It's back to more than a half a lap gap. And you know, this is Kappa Delta saying, okay, this is our race. We're going to put it all on the line now. Likely with them putting it all out there. If they were to get caught, I don't know if they'd have enough left for the finish, but this is their shot.
Dubes tuning in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Again, thanks to all our viewers all over the country and the world. Here at the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500. Sam Rumps along with Kevin Highland, Pam Lobig, former winning coach with Delta Gamma, and Stephen Gomez, a winning rider, our 4th member of our team. Pam, you'll be down in the infield tomorrow. Stephen will be up here in the booth for the men's race. You excited to get down the infield?
I am. I love being down in the infield and getting a chance to go into the pits and really seeing the riders and the coaches in the middle of this race. You know, everyone reacts differently in stressed out situations and depending on what's going on with their teams, and you can really feel that energy when you're down there with them.
Certainly, as AOPI goes with another exchange Teeter leads Delta Gamma, or Kappa Alpha Theta and Delta Gamma, as well as Ski into the first, now into the second turn.
Kappa Delta coming out for another exchange. So it looks like they're doing, you know, basically 4 to 5 lap sets, doing ITTs one after another. So doing the exchange, still maintaining quite a gap on the pack. However, the pack is cruising right now. We've got Phoenix coming out for an exchange.
It's going quick.
Wow.
See if
As
they
Tap
keep
the
up
Sherwood
the
on the
pace
bike.
after. So see if Teeter was just chasing that burner, or are they going to keep going?
Teeter burning out right now. Looks like.
We've got Teeter and Theta now starting to create a little gap on Delta Gamma. And then we've got Phoenix a bit behind that. It is strung out, so this will be the true test. Can Kappa Delta last through this? The pack is coming hard on them.
As
We've
Teeter,
got Coach Ryan Knapp telling his rider, go. Kappa Delta up, it's go, go.
and on the bike right now is Evelyn Malcolm.
Teeter and Theta starting to create a gap on the rest of the pack. You've got AO Pi struggling to close that gap and keep up with them.
Malcolm was 7th in ITTs, made it to the semis in missing out. As a team, they were 2nd in team pursuit, winning the spring series overall as the sun peeks out from behind the clouds here at Armstrong Stadium.
Is this the most perfect day for a bike race or what?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It couldn't be better.
As the lead is about 3/4 of a straightaway here.
Things are really starting to happen in the race now. You've got Phoenix a bit back after their exchange. They weren't able to catch up. You've got Delta Gamma who just exchanged. So they're now back with Phoenix. And then up in the front, you've got Kappa Delta going through turn 3, where you've got Teeter and Theta in the middle of the back stretch now. So it's down to less than a quarter lap gap.
Yeah, Katie really woke this field up too, because like we said about 15 minutes ago, really nothing was going on in the race. Everybody was just kind of cruising along. It was a slightly faster pace, but really nothing major had happened. We hadn't seen too many crashes go down that took down many members of the field. The first really major event of the race, and now it looks like teams have woken up and they're trying to catch Kappa Delta.
Absolutely.
As 3 teams have broken apart for that second place battle, it looks like AO Pi along with Teeter and Kappa Alpha Theta. As Teeter in second place, now drop back to third as AO Pi looks to be burning out as they've got a rider in their pits, getting loose.
You know, and this is where Kappa Delta's got to make that tough decision. How long do you keep trying it and stay out there when you see the pack coming at you hard? So AO Pi coming in for an exchange. They're going to put on a fresh rider who's got less than a quarter lap gap. Theta's still going. They're not exchanging. They're still chasing that down. And Teeter hanging on nicely. Here you have Phoenix and Delta Gamma are coming back up. So this may all regroup here.
Lauren
Phoenix
Brand
just going with the exchange.
Lauren Brand getting on the bike for them. Her second Little 5, 22nd in ITTs, made to the quarters of missing out. Senior from Greenwood, so we'll see how she can position Phoenix in these last 30 laps.
And here we go with this exchange. Kappa Delta will lose their gap.
Oh, wow, the lead is lost now.
But we've got Theta and Teeter coming out for an exchange too. So we've got all fresh riders on the bike for these 3 teams. And there is AO Pi, Delta Gamma with them. Looks like
Nearly
this
had a
is all
collision
coming
as
back
Teeter
together.
passing the Kappa Delta pit. Now at lap 73, and the Kappa Delta lead has evaporated. Just about 3 bike lengths. AO Pi coming around turn number 2, looking to regain the lead as they sprint down the backstretch. AO Pi right on the back wheel now of Kappa Delta.
This is fantastic. This is the action I was hoping for.
Yeah, for sure. Here they come, Kappa Delta in the lead, but right on the back wheel is AO Pi. Behind them in third place, the 6th place starting team of AKIO. Now to the inside for the lead is AO Pi.
We've got Phoenix, who is still quite a bit back. They got caught up in an exchange, so they are still now quarter lap gap behind this pack, but they are charging hard. Let's see if they can catch up.
Pam, at this point of the race, 75 laps in, we're 3/4 of the way through the race. How much of this is skill? How much of this is toughness? How much of this is training? Really put us through the mind of these riders right now.
Oh, you know, it's all of that. Is all the training that you put into it. It's your strategy and how well you understand the race. And with Little 500, you can't ever count out luck. This is a race that sometimes things just happen completely beyond your control. Oh, we have a wreck.
A big wreck in turn number 1.
It doesn't look like it has taken out any of our main contenders here, but we do have Phoenix, who was a bit slowed up by that. So they are still, you know, about a little more than a quarter lap behind the pack. And this is when teams, you know, lap 76, you got to start thinking about your end game. So, for example, with Phoenix, their gap now, do you put Tabitha in to close the gap to make sure you're there, or do you try to save her and make sure that she's fresh at the end?
As Crew was involved in that wreck. Was Kappa Delta involved as well, Kevin?
I believe so. I think it was the Kappa Delta rider who just burst right through the infield tape, slapped her helmet on her thigh. I believe that was Kappa Delta. I believe we heard it over the loudspeaker, Chuck Crabb. We'll see for confirmation as we look back out to the track as we have a yellow flag for a caution lap. We'll see if they stay on their feet. I believe I heard Chuck Crabb say that over the PA.
Yeah, they're back to 8th. Last lap, 9th now falling as the wreck was in turn number 1. Also AZD involved in the wreck.
So one of the riders get off the bike there on the exchange, a little bit limping, but
you hate
luckily
to see that, how quickly Little 5 changes. You know, first you have a half-lap gap on the pack, and the next thing you know, you go down in a wreck.
The green flag is back out.
Luckily and thankfully, no real major injuries, at least to our knowledge, in that last one. No girls having to be taken off on the backboard, but they're all able to walk off on their own power.
And it looks like they were able to recover okay because they are now back here with Phoenix, but only about a quarter lap down on the pack. Looks like, so we'll see if they'll be able to hold Phoenix's wheel as Phoenix blows right past them.
The field has to be relieved, and especially you look at the front 2 rows, has to be relieved that they caught up to KD.
As coming around.
I didn't know what was going on there for a while, if they just didn't realize Kappa Delta was out there, if they just were trying to wait.
It was a sneaky attack.
Battling for the lead with 78 laps scored complete. Teeter going into turn number 1. And then Alpha Chi Omega, the 6th place qualifying team, then Kappa Alpha Theta. Behind that AO Pi, and then Delta Gamma. That is your top 5, and here comes for a burnout is Alpha Chi Omega. So they take about a 10 bike length lead as they head into turn number 3.
They've been getting great burns all race, so here they go again, getting a nice gap on the pack, and that's going to put their next rider safely right back into the back.
So as we come around with 20 laps to go, we're going to send it to a break right now. We're going to send it to our final break of the day. We'll be back shortly.
Estimating Foxtrot Alpha Sierra Echo Lima. Delta 185, flight control, how do you copy?
Once you get out here, there's just one direction. Forward. One time. Now. And there's just one sound. You and us together, telling the world we're coming for you.
How do you simplify the complicated? First, you have to ask the right questions, and then not be afraid of the answers. This was our approach when we set out to simplify the most complex system on the bicycle, the drivetrain. Not just shifting the drivetrain, reimagining the entire experience of the drivetrain. The first question we asked, what if we took a page from the fastest wheeled vehicles on the planet? This is how you open the road.
Welcome back to the 29th edition of the Women's Little 500. Sam Rumps along with Kevin Highland, Pam Lobig, and Stephen Gomez. A big thanks to all of our crew as you get a look at the battle here. Delta Gamma burning out with Kappa Alpha Theta right behind them. As we've got a stellar race here from Bloomington, Indiana at Bill Armstrong Stadium. Delta Gamma again burning out and going with the exchange as they lead with 83 laps scored complete. We've had a
And it looks like
quick race so far.
We absolutely have, and it looks like Phoenix was not comfortable with that gap, so they have put Tabitha back on the bike to try to close this gap. 83 laps, so that's a lot of laps left to have Tabitha on the bike. But I guess that's your only shot if you got to get back up to the pack to even have a shot at the finish.
Pam, do you think there's any way she stays on the bike for all 17 of these remaining laps, or can we expect another transfer?
She absolutely could, and maybe this is where her racing outside of Little 500 comes as an advantage. With this race being a little bit longer than an hour, if you split it between 4 riders, these riders are typically only racing for 15 minutes, you could say, whereas races outside of Little 500 can easily be an hour or longer.
For sure.
And also, I don't think there's a rider in the field who has more vengeance, a bigger chip on her shoulder, more motivated than Tabitha Sherwood. Freshman year, has a very strong showing. Her sophomore year doesn't even qualify with Collins, and then the transfer over gets to the creation of Phoenix, and she can't even sprint it out last year due to a crash. Finish under yellow. They come in second, and so she just had to ride it out gingerly into second place. So if there's a sprint, even if she's gassed, you got to think nobody wants it worse than Tabitha Sherwood.
Absolutely.
Burning out right now. They will get an exchange as they were just barely in second place behind AKO on that last lap. Delta Gamma in third, Phoenix in fourth, Alpha Omicron Pi, AO Pi in fifth, Phi Mu in sixth, Teeter in seventh, Ski in eighth, CSF ninth. A lap behind Kappa Delta in 10th as they led this one for a while and had over a half lap lead, but they dropped back and were involved in a crash just a few laps ago in turn number 1.
And here you can see Tabitha had no problem catching back up to the pack, and she's now on the front. So maybe, they're going to take her out. Okay, so she did her job. She closed the burn, and now she's going to try to get a bit of a rest before the end of the race. So that answers your question on that one.
All right, we're going to throw it down to the Kappa Alpha Theta pit to a fourth member of our broadcast team in Stephen Gomez. Stephen, take it away.
Hi, I'm here with Evelyn Malcolm. You just finished a great set. What's it out like there?
It's fast, it's hard, but it's a beautiful day. There's no wind. Everybody's out there pushing each other, so it's pretty crazy.
The race is getting pretty fast now. Are you guys going to continue to push the pace all the way to the end?
Absolutely. We're planning on using our depth. We can all do the work. I've got nothing but confidence in all the girls on my team, so we're going to keep using that.
Thanks, Evelyn. Good luck to you guys. Back to you guys.
Just past an hour here.
It looks like Theta is either setting up for an exchange or trying to make a move here. They're pushing the pace on the front of the pack, but I don't see a rider ready to take the bike.
Teeter getting ready for an exchange here. As here they come. Kappa Alpha Theta, the two-time defending champs. Teeter on the back wheel. Now going around the outside is AO Pi for an exchange.
Theta is going for it right now. Theta is creating a gap on. It's got Theta and Teeter ahead, but you've got Delta Gamma back now. You've got Phoenix back a bit now. AO Pi, AKO.
That's one of the things Evelyn, I think, just spoke on in her interview. She said we're going to try to use that depth. I think that hints and suggests towards them trying to open up this gap. I don't think they want it to be a sprint finish. Really no true sprinter of those 4 ladies. I don't think they want to leave it up to chance in the last sprint.
Teeter now with the lead, but they are set to exchange. Now coming around the outside, on the back wheel is Theta. Taking the lead as Teeter will not exchange this lap. On the bike is Madeline Lambert right now.
That's the second lap in a row that another rider has been out there to transfer, but they just have not completed the transfer.
88 laps scored complete here. Really getting down to it.
So Teeter in front in the yellow jersey of the pole team. Let's make that Theta
I wonder if Teeter is waiting for Theta to exchange. They can exchange at the same time. It's the advantage of having a pit near someone that you see as a competitor that you want to watch. And the coach is telling her to go. Keep going, and Teeter is going to keep going as well.
And Teeter
You've got Phoenix and Delta Gamma both exchanging, getting fresh riders on the bike.
And it's still, I wonder if it's Tabitha Sherwood. I'm not sure. So we've got 10 laps to go. As Kappa Alpha Theta with the lead going into turn number 3.
Really group of 3 out front right now. Theta, Teeter, and AO Pi. The slight lead over the rest of the group.
Theta coming for an exchange this lap.
Looks like Teeter will come out too, leaving AO Pi now out in the front, and AO Pi is going. They've got a gap, and they're going to hit the gas pedal. You've got Delta Gamma and Phoenix coming hard behind them.
Michaela Rampt in her 4th Little 500. Coming out of turn number 2. As we are coming to 8 laps to go, so we'll take you quickly through the top 10. Kappa Alpha Theta, Alpha Omicron Pi, Teeter, Delta Gamma, and Phoenix. Rounds out your top 5. Phi Mu, a wonderful story, coming up from 25th in 6th. AKIO in 7th, Ski in 8th, CSF 9th, and Alpha Sigma Alpha in 10th. As we only have 8 teams on the lead lap.
AO Pi is still out front, and here comes Theta, not willing to let them have that gap.
Grace Bennett.
What a wonderful move.
3rd in ITTs, and she is chasing down AO Pi with 8 laps to go.
It was a great move. Did you see that Theta rider? She came right around Teeter and DG, who were kind of sitting up, went right past them so they couldn't jump on her wheel, and now she's going to go right past AO Pi. It looks like Theta is just riding their own race right now.
A lead change into turn number 3, coming out of turn number 4 now. Kappa Alpha Theta looking for their 3rd victory in a row and their 7th all-time, which is the most all-time. They have 6 victories right now, and they have the lead. Delta Gamma in 3rd. 4th is Teeter, and now 5th. Coming back onto the bike. Here she comes, Tabitha Sherwood.
Look at the guts there from Grace Bennett. Incredible move, aggressive bike racing there from her. We'll see how it pays off.
As AO Pi right on the back wheels, they go down the backstretch into turn number 3.
So you've got Theta pulling hard on front, AO Pi sitting on their wheel. A little bit back, you've got Teeter and Delta Gamma working together to reel them back in.
Delta Gamma taking
and here
3rd position
comes
now.
Tabitha
Sherwood, about a half straightaway back. She is on it. Into turn number 1, quickly gaining on 3rd and 4th. Teeter now to the inside of Delta Gamma. Tabitha Sherwood has caught them on the back wheel of DG. What can she do? Team in the 2nd year, finished 2nd last year under caution. And now right on the back wheel of DG as they head to turn number 3.
We'll see how long Tabitha stays in the back wheel of DG there, or when she'll look to get up to that main group of Theta and AO Pi.
It looks like we've got Theta is going to come out for an exchange now. Will AO Pi keep going? That AO Pi rider has been on the bike for a bit now.
Evelyn Malcolm, who we
fresh.
just talked to, is now on the bike, and they will drop back to 5th place.
Michaela Rampt for AO Pi, the one who's been eating up all these laps. So interesting. Early on in the race, AO Pi was making so many quick exchanges, short rides for each of the ladies. Now Michaela Rampt, we've seen her out there for a while. Can she maintain this lead for AO Pi?
She's got about a 15 to 20 bike length lead as they head towards turn number 3. Coming to 4 laps to go in the women's Little 500. Kappa Delta with an exchange here right in front of us.
It looks like AO Pi is getting set up, so they will do an exchange. I think all the teams are now getting their finishers on the bike.
DG Kristen Bignell, the sprinter right there in 2nd place. Closing the gap just a bit.
To chase down AO Pi. She does not like that. She doesn't want him to get away. She looks like she's creating a little bit of a gap on Teeter. Now they're right on him. Teeter, Phoenix, and Theta.
Couple of lap teams right there as the top 5. AO Pi, DG, Teeter, Phoenix, and Kappa Alpha Theta as we come down to 3 laps to go.
So we talked about Robbie Howard at 33-1 before the race, and we brought up earlier in the broadcast, I said, how many teams have a realistic shot of winning this? And he told me the top 5, exactly the way they qualified. Those are the 5 that he liked. Right now, it looks like a 5-team race. Going to be a great finish in this one, Sam.
And AO Pi will drop back a little bit. 3 laps to go. To the inside is Theta. And then on the outside is Teeter in 3rd, now dropping back. Tabitha Sherwood in 3rd, taking it away from Teeter. In 2nd is DG as they head down the backstretch.
And here comes AO Pi with a fresh rider. This is going to be your group for the finish here.
About half of a turn back is AO Pi. And the lap team's asked to move to the outside as Theta leads it. DG in 2nd. 3rd is Phoenix, and then Teeter in 4th. 5th place AO Pi, and right back there is Audrey Healy for AO Pi, right back in that lead peloton. It's a 5-up race, and she goes to the outside. Goes to the outside, trying to take the lead around everybody.
Is she gonna catch Theta? And Tabitha is right on her.
AO Pi back to the
Delta Gamma
lead.
getting right on them.
Right behind is Tabitha Sherwood and Phoenix as they come to the white flag. out of turn number 4. Here it is, A.O. Pi, Phoenix, then DG, then Theta. 1 lap to go in the women's little 500. Into the turn number 1 is Audrey Healy, followed by Tabitha Sherwood behind her, Sarah Rivich.
That's Chrissy Bignall for
Chrissy
Delta
Bignall,
Gamma.
excuse me.
Sherwood, ITT champ, missing out champ. Let's see if she can tie it all together with a little 5
And
championship
Chrissy
in her
is
last
going.
year.
Delta Gamma making a move on the back stretch.
Bignall to the outside, coming down to the final stretch of turns.
And Tabitha is
Sherwood
on her
going
wheel.
to second. Here they come, final 2 turns. Tabitha Sherwood on the outside, Kristen Bignall on the inside, coming to the checkered flag. It's side by side on turn number 4. Who's it gonna be? Tabitha Sherwood will take the victory for Phoenix Cycling. The women's little 500 won on the last yards. Tabitha Sherwood with the victory over Kristen Bignall. A wonderful pass coming to the checkered flag, and Phoenix, in his 2nd year of existence, wins the women's little 500.
What a gutsy race by Phoenix. We said when Tabitha got on the bike, is there any way that she can do this whole thing? We saw one quick exchange. She was right back on the bike. A masterful piece of cycling there by Tabitha Sherwood, your ITT champ, your missing out champ. And now she leads the Phoenix ladies to their first ever championship. Incredible stuff. Pam, what do you take away from a performance like that from Sherwood?
She finally got her chance to actually sprint the finish of this race, and it looks like she was absolutely ready for it. You know, Chris, not normally do you see someone lose the lead and then be able to come out of turn 4 and actually close that gap, and especially after all the work that she did to close that gap early, and then she was on the bike multiple times in the last 20 laps of this race. Really a phenomenal performance.
And what else could you have asked for? Top 2 ladies in both ITTs and missing out, getting to go head-to-head in a sprint to finish out this race. Really a fantastic finish. I don't think anybody could have asked for a better day, a better race. Guys, what a treat of a race we had today.
He really did. What a fantastic, last 25 laps of that race. Everyone was going for it. Multiple people taking different leads, putting themselves out there on the line. That's just what you want to see.
Tabitha Sherwood hugging her coach as she gets back to her pit after a long and very, very sweet victory lap. Tabitha Sherwood, the sprinter, on it at the end, as Kappa Alpha Theta finishing 4th as their teammates hug in the pits.
It's always nice to see a new winner in the race. Phoenix never won the women's race before, so it's cool to, add another team in there. And seeing people, new programs being built up, new opportunities for riders to get involved in this race.
Also, the first non-Greek house to win since Teeter in 2011. It'll be interesting to see where this team goes beyond Tabitha. Tabitha certainly carried this team today. It'll be interesting to see how they can recruit some girls in to really have a chance to repeat next year.
The little 500 champions on the women's side is Phoenix Cycling behind Tabitha Sherwood, and we are ready to throw it down to Stephen Gomez.
All right, I'm here with the Little 500 champions, Phoenix Cycling. Tabitha Sherwood, how's it feel to be a Little 500 champion?
Oh, God, I love my team so much.
Take us through that last lap.
Holy crap, I barely remember it. Oh, God. Oh my God. Oh.
Well, congratulations on winning. Enjoy the
so much,
celebration.
Dennis.
Congratulations.
Tabitha Sherwood, and she still has to be so tired after making that victorious sprint coming around turn number 4.
Great performance there. You love to see the raw, visceral emotion. Gomez getting to ask her, how does it feel? Just so gassed from her performance at the end. But she said, I love my team. That's all you need to know. And that's the great thing about the Little 500. All these people are aged 18 to 22 generally. It's just a bunch of young kids who are working their butts off the entire year. And that's one thing a lot of people don't realize. That's something I didn't realize coming into college and first experiencing the Little 500. These people train on the level of a D1 college athlete. This is serious stuff. And all those years of work for Sherwood, especially one of the more unique stories we've had in the women's race in quite some time, being able to cap it off with a victory like that, has to make all that work, all those long hours worth it.
As we take you through the victorious team, Phoenix Cycling in the black jerseys, Lauren Brand, Clara Butler, Melissa Raggets, Melissa out of Bloomington, Indiana, and then the senior out of Culver, Indiana, in her 3rd Little 500, Tabitha Sherwood, winning this one as some of the fans for Phoenix congregating down in their first pit. Interesting pit selection in this race. We didn't talk about too much, but Kappa Alpha Theta taking the spot just past the start-finish line, where they have a lot of empty area before their pit, so a lot of room to make exchanges. But Phoenix was the typical first spot down at the end of the front straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could see, all the main contenders that we had there in the final sprint, all of their pits right next to each other, so they could watch each other and see when each other were exchanging.
As we're now getting some video of Phoenix's celebration down there. It says rising from the cinders, a very, very apt descriptor for this Phoenix squad. And one of the things they talked about when Gomez got the interview with Theta, they're very quick to point out, we're going to try to use this depth. We're going to try to push the pace right now. Unable to do that. We saw multiple teams try to do that as well. KD was out far in front of the field. None of us could really believe it. The field was able to catch up. And when it came down to the stretch, the best sprinter really did prevail today.
As we want to take you through the final full field rundown, still unofficial results, but the champion, Phoenix Cycling, Delta Gamma finishing second. Teeter was number 3. Kappa Alpha Theta 4th, AO Pi in 5th. Phi Mu coming from the 25th starting position, finishing 6th. They are last on the lead lap. 1 lap down, Alpha Chi Omega. Ski, CSF, Alpha Sigma Alpha in 10th. 11th, Kappa Delta. 12th, Alpha Gamma Delta. In 13th, AZD. 14th, Kappa Kappa Gamma. In 15th was Melanzana. 16th, Ride On. 17th is Crew. Alpha Delta Pi finishing 18th. Delta Zeta finishing 19th. In 20th, it was Delta Sigma Pi. Chi Omega finishing 21st. IU Nursing in 22nd. 23rd was Alpha Phi. 24th, Gamma Phi Beta. In 25th was Wing It Cycling. Independent Council Cycling in 26th. Theta Phi Alpha in 27th. Delta Phi Epsilon 13 laps down in 28th. Sigma Delta Tau in 29th. Delta 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 in 30th. And Alpha Epsilon Phi in 31st. As we come back to the to the press box here, as we work with the wires. As we come back to the press box, I'm Sam Rumsel along with Pam Lobig to my right, Kevin Highland to my left. Kevin, your thoughts on this little 500?
A fantastic race. We didn't really see much action going on in the first 50, 60 laps. Then we see KD really try to go away. So glad that the field caught back up. We were treated to really as good of a finish as we could have ever imagined.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so great to see everyone putting it out there and really racing. And, everyone who didn't just win, so everyone except for those 4 riders who just won, their first reaction is to start thinking about next year. And what's interesting is that is a team of all seniors in Phoenix. But you've got that team in AO Pi who we saw a really strong showing. Most of them are juniors or sophomores, so look for them next year. We've also got some other younger teams in the rest of the teams, so exciting to see what's going to happen.
The 2017 Little 500, we're already thinking about it for the women's side, but still 200 laps to go tomorrow. It's going to be a blast, a lot of great teams out there, and we're going to see 50 miles of great cycling tomorrow.
We absolutely are, and it looks to be another beautiful day of blue skies, sunshine.
Excellent. It's going to be really warm as well. It's going to be hot down there on the track. Do you think they'll water it down any before tomorrow?
They do. They put water on it overnight each night. And honestly, the track seemed to be in pretty good condition. I didn't notice much dust coming up. Riders didn't seem to be loose in any of the turns.
No.
So that could really set us up for a fast and exciting race tomorrow.
Kevin, your final thoughts before we send it out here?
Gutsy performance from Sherwood will go down as, I think, one of the better finishing stretches in women's Little 500 history. She really took it upon herself and rose Phoenix, like they like to say, from the cinders.
For the entire crew here at Bill Armstrong Stadium, thank you so much for tuning in or listening in, whether it's on WIUX or the stream at broadcast.iu.edu. For the rest of the crew, I'm Sam Rumsa, and this has been the 29th running of the Little 500 here from Bill Armstrong Stadium. The winners, Phoenix Cycling and Tabitha Sherwood with a wonderful sprint to lap 100. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Third place for Teeter today. your second place team, oh so close there at the finish. Delta Gamma, Team 3. Kristen Bignell from Carmel, Madison Borgman from Eaton, Sarah Ribick from Crown Point, and Catherine Ziegler from Ambler, Pennsylvania. DG's finishing as runner-up. And next, your champions for 2016, being joined on the platform by Justice Coleman, Miss Indiana, Tara Vickers, Director of Student Foundation, Jordan Bailey, IU Student Foundation, Racing Director. We have for 2016 the champions, Phoenix, the corporate sponsor, U.S. Army, Lauren Brand of Greenfield, Clara Butler, Great Lakes, Illinois, Melissa Regas of Bloomington, Tabitha Sherwood from Colton.